The laugh came first, sharp, careless, a blade wrapped in velvet. I was holding my glass when it happened, fingers tight around the stem, knuckles pale. The table was too long, the chandelier too bright. Everyone was watching her. My wife's sister leaned back in her chair, wine-red lips curved into something practiced, predatory. "So," she said, dragging the word like a finger across skin. "Still in that modest place?" A pause. She didn't wait for my answer. "My husband just closed on another penthouse," she added. "Floor-to-ceiling windows, private elevator. You know." Laughter rippled, polite, complicit. My wife didn't look at me. She stared at her plate like it might crack open and swallow her whole. I felt it then, that familiar tightening behind my ribs. Not anger, calculation. Because I'd seen the lease renewal that morning, because I'd recognized the address when she bragged, because the quiet truth had already settled in me like cold ash. Her husband's penthouse. My penthouse. And the way they were laughing told me everything I needed to know about how long this joke had been running, at my expense. It hadn't always been like this. The dinners, the subtle digs, the way I became furniture in my own marriage. Somewhere along the way, I stopped being a man and started being a contrast. Her sister married wealth. I married potential. That was the story they told themselves. But potential doesn't photograph well. It doesn't clink glasses or buy silence. So they smoothed me down into something smaller. My wife let it happen. That was the betrayal. Not the mockery, not the lie. Her silence. I watched her sister talk with her hands, rings flashing, each gesture a reminder of what she thought I lacked. Her husband, smiling, smug, eyes darting away from mine for half a second too long. He knew. They all did. Except they didn't know what I knew. That the penthouse was an asset I'd acquired years before I ever met my wife. That the rent cleared like clockwork every month. That the man across from me had signed the lease with a trembling hand and a fake confidence I'd memorized. I'd kept it quiet, separate, clean. I liked control, and now control was tightening around my throat, asking to be used. I said nothing. I never do when it matters most. I let the laughter die naturally, let the conversation move on, let them believe I was swallowing it like I always did. Inside, I was inventorying. Dates, payments, emails. The way her sister leaned into her husband when she felt powerful. The way my wife flinched when the word penthouse was said again. I watched my wife carefully. She knew about the lease. She had to. The realization was slow, surgical. The late nights she defended her sister's husband, the way she redirected conversations, the sudden coldness when I mentioned real estate. She hadn't betrayed me with her body. She'd done something worse. She'd betrayed me with her loyalty. I remembered the conversation months ago, her telling me I should be more ambitious, more visible, like him. I remembered nodding, smiling, already knowing I owned the ground he stood on. Dessert arrived. That was my cue. I reached into my jacket and placed my phone on the table, face down, casual. "My place is modest," I said quietly. The table leaned in. "I prefer assets that work quietly." Her sister smiled again, wider this time. "And your husband's penthouse?" I continued, eyes fixed on my wife now. "It's been working very well for me." Silence. I turned the phone over and slid it across the table, not to her sister, to her husband. The lease agreement glowed on the screen. His name, my signature, years of payments. His face drained first, then my wife's. Her sister's smile faltered, just for a second, but it was enough. "What is this?" she asked, voice brittle. I didn't answer her. I watched my wife finally look at me, really look. And in her eyes, I saw it. Fear. "I didn't want to embarrass anyone," I said calmly. "But since we're comparing lifestyles." Her husband pushed the phone back like it burned. "I can explain," he started. I raised a finger. "No," I said. "You can keep paying." A breath passed, then another. My wife's sister stood abruptly, chair scraping. "This is a joke." "It's not," I said, "but your marriage might be." Her husband didn't move, didn't speak. He knew the clause, the one about disclosure, about termination, about how fragile his image really was. I looked at my wife last. "I wish you trusted me," I said, instead of laughing with them. She opened her mouth. I stood. "I'll send the updated terms," I said to her sister's husband. Rent just went up. I left before anyone could recover. The night air was clean, honest. I felt lighter, not vindicated, not angry, clear. Control isn't loud. It doesn't raise its voice or flip tables.
It waits. And when it speaks, the room listens. I didn't look back. Some things aren't worth owning, especially people who only see your value when it humiliates them. I walked away knowing this. They laughed because they thought I was beneath them. They fell silent when they realized I was above them all along.